Okay, one of my favorite champions I made, I feel like he's super unique. We'll go on him. His name is Plague. The Plague. Plague the Plague. Or Plog the Plague. I don't know. Plog the Plague. Plague the Plague. Plague the Plague is a very unique character in my opinion. As you can see, it's a plague kind of thing. It's gonna be more of a plague of animals, like the plague of rats, locusts, crows. But it's gonna be different than, fiddlesticks. It's not gonna be like that. So, his passive is, the more swarm you have, the more damage you do. And your basic attacks are basically you send the swarm you've collected via your Q to the opponent and they do damage. So, your Q is a toggle to summon the swarm. And so, you're not going to summon crows, rats, and like locusts. Your passive, like your ultimate, I mean, is you start with locusts. You start with locusts automatically. When you level up your ult, you go to rats. And then level up your ult for the second time, you go to crows. Level up your ult for the third time. You basically add on each damage. You have crows, rats, and locusts all around you, doing the same thing, working together in a way. So, yeah, I have to do that first. So his Q though is he toggles his self. He just presses Q, it uses mana, but he can basically summon a swarm. The swarm though, on its way to him, can damage opponents if it passes through them. So yeah, if the insect, rodent, bird goes through enemy to get to you, it does damage. So your basic attack is, like I said, you send your swarm. Now the thing is, your swarm will actually stay onto them. Basically it loses damage over time, like rapid decrease especially. That's when your bugs die. But I mean, you'll always have like a little bit of bugs around you, but I mean you won't do like any damage. So your Q is gonna be super necessary. Your W, you send your swarm to a target, like your whole swarm, not a little bit, the whole swarm. To target enemy, it swarms them like it would swarm you, but it swarms them dealing damage instead for a short duration and then returns, and 10% of the whole swarm will stay with the enemy and deal damage to them as their health rapidly decreases. The first instance of the W will actually blind them for a few seconds, basically not allowing them to see where they are, like a Graves W onto the ground. Basically, it'll allow that champion not to be able to see around them for a few seconds because they're covered in everything. So, E it swarms you, taking 10% health. So basically, you are now covered in a shield of disgusting things. Yeah. They block the damage, but also, after a channel of 1.5 seconds or something, they will disperse, and you'll be gone magically. And then you'll reappear where you have chosen, somewhere else. So you reappear in a location. Immediately they'll come back to you. They'll disperse everywhere, right? And then they'll come back to you, so they can still deal damage on their way back to you. And then, of course, as they get to you, they'll give you a small armor, and then they'll go back up, like a shield, a small shield. So your art is every time you level up, you gain a more damaging swarm of animals. So your first inaction of the ult, so after you level up, but your actual ult pressing is basically you will send the bugs away in a large radius around you. And as they travel out, they will find any enemy they can find and start devouring them, destroying them, killing them. And yeah, they'll do that until they die, and basically that'll destroy your swarm. It destroys your swarm, but I mean it does lots of damage. So, yeah. Of course, they will target champions over minions and monsters. But it's kind of cool how he has a global presence, kind of. Well, not global, but like he has a really big presence all around him. Like when he does any ability, it affects everything around him rather than like a certain target just down the lane a few bit. But he does everything all around him. So yeah, that is Plague the Plague. Yeah, he doesn't really have a name. He's just Plague the Plague.